Fox News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
All right, we're getting closer and closer to some brighter weather in our forecast. Chief Meteorologist Wes White, we've had this steady flow of moisture out of the southwest, bringing clouds, bringing rain to the area. Welcome into Weather Extra. A lot to get into tonight, starting out with the next big thing in our First Alert weather headlines. And what we're going to be tracking here is that rain coming to an end overnight tonight, but it will continue through 9, 10 o'clock, and then we'll start to see that back edge making its way southward. It's cold, okay? It is still quite chilly out there temperature-wise. We still have some upper 30s to the north. I'm concerned we could see some patchy black ice in some of those far north, northwest areas. Our team's been keeping a watch on those road temperature forecasts, and there's a chance we could see road temperatures as low as 28 in some spots. Now, the rain's going to end before we see that kind of temperature. However, any leftover moisture, there could be a couple of trouble spots, especially North Alabama. Folks across North Mississippi and Tennessee still dealing with refreezing concerns from all the icy weather that's been happening there. Clearing tomorrow, but for Friday, even though we're talking about some improvements, it is still going to be a very, very cold day tomorrow. Just want to make sure before you head out, you don't forget the heavy jacket again. You will need it tomorrow morning. More of that chill going into the afternoon, especially tomorrow night. So here's a look at AccuTrack radar, and you look at this and you say, wow, it is absolutely pouring here in some areas, but that's what may be actually going on there with the radar. We're looking higher up into the atmosphere where there may be actually be a little bit of frozen precipitation that's still partially frozen there before it actually melts and reaches the ground, but that sometimes can send back some very strong signals there on the radar, but that's probably what we're looking at. But it's a steady soaking rain. The good thing about today, it's been a slow and steady, and that's what we'd like to see. If it is going to rain like this, that helps to lower the risk for flash flooding. That said, we still could see, I'm concerned, poor drainage areas, some of the typical trouble spots after all this tonight. Get all that runoff down into the river basins and the drainage basins. There could be a couple of flood issues in some of the streams and creeks out there. So watch out for that next day or two. And actually along the Warrior River, Lauren was talking about earlier, there was a flood warning around Selden, Locken Dam. Minor flooding expected, but right there between Utah and Demopolis, if you have a camp along the river, Brush Creek, around Roebuck Landing, those places, just giving you the first alert there for some minor river flooding. But this is what it looks like, and still plenty more to come. You can see there's latest scan shows still quite a bit of rain back in here to the west, and there may be a rumble of thunder out of this, but no severe weather expected, but still plenty more wet weather that's going to work in here before this tapers off. So this evening, if you had plans, you need to run out, run a couple of errands, be careful, wet roads, and plan for a slow go out there tonight. It's just some yucky weather that we currently have. Here's a look at the next 12 hours, and you can see there that wet weather as it pushes on through, and looks like by midnight we start to see that back edge pushing into those northern areas. Notice 5 a.m. you can see a lot of the rain is down in here across southern areas, and that's when you look at the forecast road temperatures. It's not really until 5, 6 o'clock in the morning before we start to see those freezing conditions after the wet weather. But there still could be some of those bridges, maybe some leftover puddles, some of the secondary roads. Just want you to be extra cautious in those areas. A very brief window. Any impacts for our area would be more localized to these far north areas. Nothing too widespread. In fact, big improvements again throughout the day. Most of us just dealing with some wet roads, and we got all that rain tapering off. But yeah, it's going to rain. You can see there we have, we don't break it out all the time. You don't often see the 100%, but that's about as confident as we can get on some wet weather out there for this evening. And, you know, I was surprised that the groundhog, or I guess the local Sand Mountain Sam, was able to actually get outdoors today. I figured all the little furry critters would sleep in on this Groundhog Day, but we do have some predictions to pass along as we continue right here on First Alert Weather Extra. We'll update you on what the groundhog had to say about things. We got Arctic blast in the northeast, when to catch the comet we've been telling you about. We're going to have, looks like, some improving visibility conditions that we will talk about, and more on that icy storm, that icy situation back over Texas. That's all coming up as we continue on First Alert Weather Extra.
Every storm has a story, where it came from, where it's going, and the lives impacted in between. Where our story begins is with your first alert, warning you well ahead of time so the chapter in between isn't filled with surprises. The largest team on your side, dedicated to telling the story that starts and ends with you. This is why we First Alert.
First alert, we are tracking
In times like this,
we now have a tornado warning that's active.
having a way to see and hear what's happening on your phone,
The most intense part of this storm right now is tracking towards Shelby County.
that means everything.
Okay, you need to get in your safe place now. Stay there. We will let you know when this warning expires. Stay with us.
Download the First Alert Weather app today. Stay alert. Stay with the First Alert Weather Team. Mornings, they're yours. Where you start fresh, get your body moving, and tackle a new day. Our mornings are for you. Janice, Mike, Mickey, and Toy, starting early and staying with you all morning long. With more voices speaking to you where you are, and getting to the point with more First Alert weather and traffic from the source you trust. Always on your side. This is Good Day, Alabama.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Lenahan. Even though it's been chilly here in Texas, they have been dealing with some freezing rain that has basically brought cities to a complete closure, with freezing rain causing some major issues. We check in now with meteorologist Matt Daniel to explain the science behind the nuisance cold weather.
We've seen a lot of wintry weather in parts of Texas and Oklahoma and Arkansas. When you start seeing those pink colors, this is a radar loop over the past day or so. That's indicating freezing rain or sleet, and that's been producing lots of ice in parts of Dallas and Austin, Texas. I want to show you some of the photos sent in to me from Rob and Kim out of Austin, Texas, and you can see the ice that it just accumulates as freezing rain. It hits the surface, becomes ice, it weighs it down, and you start to get these branches leaning and breaking, and of course this can result in power outages, damage to your home, to your car. Here's one branch that got snapped from the heavy ice that was forming on those branches, and here's more. It looks pretty, but it's just ugly. Freezing rain is one of the worst precipitation types you can deal with because you can't play in it. It's going to disrupt life. You can lose power, cause damage. You get the idea. So it is a mess out there in parts of Texas and in parts of Arkansas. Here's another view of the perspective of how much ice accumulated. I was looking at the rainfall totals just for Austin, Texas, and they saw at least an inch of rainfall with temperatures at or below 32 degrees. So that's some ice right there, and they should see they're likely going to have improvement over the next couple of days as temperatures warm and all that moisture is out of here. But what exactly is freezing rain? How does that form? Well, usually when the precipitation forms way aloft, it's really cold. Temperatures are freezing. It falls as snow. But what happens, there's a little inversion. You're going to see warmer air in the middle. So you're seeing temperatures above freezing. So that snow begins to melt and becomes rain. Well, with a freezing rain setup, you have a shallow layer of cold temperatures at or below 32 degrees. So as that rain falls into that shallow layer of air, it falls just as rain, but when it hits the surface, it becomes ice, weighs down trees, weighs down power lines, and that's when you have so many issues in those areas. So just to give you an idea, ice can be very heavy. Ice accumulation over just a quarter of an inch can result in power outages, and sometimes it can weigh power lines up to 250 pounds. So they've had a lot of moisture, a lot of rain, and that became very icy across the region. We've been fortunate and haven't had to deal with that. Hopefully we won't ever have to, but you know how it is. We've seen it before. So you know sometime, not maybe this year, but down the road we might have to. But yeah, freezing rain, very dangerous. But fortunately for us, we're not having to worry about that.
Thanks for that, Matt. Yeah, it's certainly been chilly here in Alabama, but some perspective. As we saw across Texas, it could be a whole lot worse. So we bring in now meteorologist Tania Michelle to show us some more winter weather woes around the world. Tania, where are we starting first tonight?
Lauren, we're not going to go too far, but I do want to stay in the U.S. and just show people a different perspective of what's going on across our country. So although we saw Texas, it's not the only state getting hit with these freezing conditions. An Arctic blast is placing millions of people under warnings in states like Maine and New York, too. The National Weather Service is calling this an epic generational cold front. Isabel Rosales tells us what experts are saying people should do until this bitter cold weather passes.
Maine to northeast Pennsylvania bracing for wind chills, falling as far as minus 50 degrees or more, according to a National Weather Service forecast. Frigid temperatures and powerful winds, gusts forecasted to blast up to 40 miles an hour.
If people are outside in weather that is extremely cold, below 20 degrees, frostbite sets in very quickly and you can die.
A whopping 15 million people expected to be under severe cold warnings across the region through Saturday.
The important fact is going to be remaining indoors this weekend, if at all possible. This is a great reason to stay home and maybe watch Netflix.
The Weather Service predicts the Arctic assault will move out relatively quickly by Sunday afternoon. Unlike the relentless ice storm that's been pummeling the south and central U.S. for most of this week.
And so trees are falling with all the ice.
Forecasters say warmer temperatures arrive by late Thursday, but ice over neighborhoods will take a while to thaw out. Lights out. Over 500,000 people are still without power from Texas to Tennessee, tracked by Power Outage US. And melting roads could remain slick and dangerous as rain continues in several areas through Thursday evening. I'm Isabel Rosales reporting.
And now this relates to all, mainly in the Northern Hemisphere. We're talking about it once again, Comet C 2022 E3 ZTF, also known as the Green Comet, that is most visible tonight, although tonight's sky conditions make it hard for us to actually see it. But it's actually going to be possible for us to see it because I have some good news. Friday night skies are expected to be clear, so get those telescopes ready. And keep an eye out for an unusual light in the sky. The Green Comet is zooming past Earth for the first time in 50,000 years. NASA says, in quote, observers in the Northern Hemisphere will find the comet in the morning sky as it moves swiftly toward the northwest during January. It'll become visible in the Southern Hemisphere in early February. Astronomers first discovered the icy celestial object last March. They think the last time the comet was visible in the night sky was during the Stone Age. Its orbit passes through the outer reaches of the solar system, which is why it's taking such a long time to swing by our planet again. The comet will make its closest pass to Earth between tonight, but it will appear as a faint green smudge near the North Star Friday night when skies are clear. And don't worry about the comet coming too close to Earth. It will be at least 26 million miles away, and that's more than 100 times as far as the moon. Lauren?
Whew, I can't even fathom that, Tania. But meanwhile, here a little closer to home in the troposphere, the bottom layer of the atmosphere where we live and all weather happens, things haven't been quite as pleasantly celestial. A new study finds air pollution could have some adverse impacts, actually, on your mental health. Gloria Pazmino has more from this latest research.
Air pollution. It isn't just bad for your lungs, it may also be bad for your mental health. That's according to a new study published in the journal JAMA Psychiatry. Researchers found that people who were exposed to multiple pollutants over a long period of time were at a higher risk of suffering from depression or anxiety than those living with cleaner air.
The kind of pollution that the folks in this study were exposed to was everything from cars to coal plants to farms to many other sources.
Records of about 390,000 participants from the UK were examined. And during the study period, more than 13,000 were diagnosed with depression, and more than 15,000 were diagnosed with anxiety. Researchers found those who lived in areas with higher pollution levels were at a higher risk for depression or anxiety.
They had between an 8 and 17% higher risk of depression and a 9 to 14% increased risk of anxiety. It's not exactly known why pollution might have this link to anxiety and depression, but when you think about it, pollution can damage your lungs, it can damage your heart, so it makes sense that it's possible that it could also damage your brain and your neurological system.
Certainly some food for thought. Coming up next on First Alert Weather Extra, we check in with Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt for a look at that super 7-day forecast. And then buckle up, I'll take you on a journey beyond the 7-day. We'll be right back.
Are you noticing mold or discoloration in your shower? Or maybe you just want to replace that old bathtub with something more modern and luxurious? Well, either way, we've got you covered. Hey everybody, I'm joined by BJ Worzen, owner of West Shore Home, to talk a little shower and bath remodeling and how West Shore is making the entire process from start to finish fast and easy. BJ.
Thanks, Joe. At West Shore Home, we understand the headaches and stress a remodeling project can cause. That's why everything that we do is designed to make it stress-free for our customers.
A lot of people don't think of remodeling as stress-free, especially bath remodeling. So how are you making a complicated process easier?
Everything in our process can be done from the comfort of your own home. Give us a call and we'll send one of our bath experts out that has a time that's most convenient for you. And when it comes time for that installation, we're going to send one of our employee installers out and complete that project in as little as 1 day.
So no running out to big box stores and comparing samples and colors and then maybe waiting months for the installation. You're saying this is an all-inclusive process, making it really fast and easy for customers. That's great. Now, BJ, I understand you have a flash sale going on right now. Tell us about that.
That's right, Joe. Right now, anyone that gives us a call, we're going to do free installation on all shower and bath remodeling projects. On top of that, we're going to be doing 12 months, no interest, no payment financing. That means you can get that bath project done right now and you don't have to make any payments or pay any interest until 2024.
Free installation, that's a great offer. Well, let's see some projects you've done recently.
Absolutely, let's take a look. Here, we were able to completely remove an outdated shower and bath and install something that matched the rest of their bathroom. That low step feature is going to make getting in and out of that shower really easy. And the sleek matte black hardware looks amazing. Here's a few more. All of these were installed in 1 day, and just a reminder, for a limited time, anyone that calls will get free installation on their shower and bath project.
BJ, thanks so much. Folks, call West Shore Home now for this limited time offer. It's free installation on all shower and bath projects. Plus, for limited time, BJ is doing 12 months of no payments and no interest financing. Get your shower project now and don't worry about making a single payment until 2024. Call West Shore Home now.
Welcome back into Weather Extra, and the groundhog has spoken. Punxsutawney Phil, he predicted, well, we were going to have 6 more weeks of winter, which typically you look at the calendar is always 6 more weeks from roughly from about this point. Actually, the local critter, which is a possum, is Sand Mountain Sam. We told you about Sand Mountain Sam at Bama Bucks, and she actually predicted that we're going to have an early spring, and I'm going with Sam on this one. I think, yeah, early spring, that sounds more like it, but it's feeling like the heart of winter out there. It's cold tonight. We have temperatures in the 30s and 40s and a steady stream of rain that is moving in across the area. You can see there to the north, we're getting in on some, looks like maybe a little bit of heavier rainfall here, but it's not quite as ugly as what it looks like here on radar. It looks almost like we have strong storms there, but no storms at the moment. It's just a lot of rain. The only flood concern we really have is the streams and the creeks, and especially the typical trouble spots, poor drainage areas. We'll have to watch out overnight for some flooding happening there. Here's the super 7-day forecast, and we have a first alert for some chilly conditions and some colder weather Friday night and a Saturday. We went with 28 degrees. I mentioned tomorrow morning again, we'll have to watch at those areas to the north. There's a chance that we could have a couple of patchy areas of black ice with those road surface temperatures getting close to freezing. Any leftover ponding or puddles out there could certainly freeze over. We're only looking at about a 4 to 6 hour window there when that could happen. Rest of the day, you can see we do warm well above freezing, and for most of us, this won't be a problem. We'll have temperatures in the 40s, some sunshine returning, and the drying process begins, which is probably going to take us several days for the ground to dry out after all this rainy weather that we've had in this very gloomy pattern. Saturday and Sunday, dry but cold mornings. You can see 28 degrees there early on Saturday. And it looks like the dry weather hangs on into Monday of next week. Let's talk about next week, because It looks like Wednesday, Thursday, or next Friday. We're trying to time it out. We see some indications that we are going to have another system that moves out of the southwestern U.S. and moves our way. Some of the models are really amplifying that system out west, which slows it down. Some data moves things along fairly quickly, and that's why looking at next week, at the earliest we could see some of those higher rain chances Wednesday. At the latest, it could be Friday, so we're still trying to fine-tune that and want to make sure you check in. But I want to let you know that the possibility is at least there. You're trying to plan out next week, and I don't want you to be caught off guard. And just note that the chance is we could have some rain Tuesday and into Wednesday of next week. This is the European model. They're 6:30 Tuesday night, and you can see this model, which does a good job, and it's showing some of that wet weather, the ensembles of this model, which utilizes several different runs to kind of bring an average and give us a good idea of what's going to happen here. The ensemble data, looking at several different runs of this one particular model, it does show Tuesday night and into Wednesday of next week. Some of the data I looked at, there's 4 o'clock Wednesday morning, and you can see it shows some showers, and then coming back in here Wednesday night and into Thursday of next week. So that's what we're watching next week. One of the next big things for us, another good chance for wet weather. I don't at this point think we're going to get into a setup where we have on and off rain Sunday through the end of next week. This week has certainly taken the cake as far as rainy setups we've had this season. I know we've had a lot of rainy periods, but it's been quite wet out there. It looks like more of a shorter duration event, but it would possibly impact that Wednesday, Thursday time frame. And it's certainly a possibility given the active pattern that we are in. That's why we are keeping a watch on those days as the next chance of rain. But let's go beyond the 7-day forecast. And of course, you go beyond the 7-day, there's a little bit of uncertainty, but meteorologist Lauren Linehan standing by. And Lauren, we can always kind of look at those patterns and get a good idea of what we're going to be experiencing going towards the mid portion of the month of February.
Yeah, Wes. Well, I know a big question on everyone's minds. Of course, we talked with Punxsutawney and Sam today, and they both had their input on what we are going to be seeing in terms of spring or longer winter. But I will tell you, just within the short term, beyond the 7-day, if you're hoping it's going to dry out, I got some bad news for you. Look at this. 6 to 10 days from now, it does look like we could be seeing across a good 2/3 of the U.S. above average rainfall. And yes, that does include here in Birmingham in central Alabama. Now, does that mean it's necessarily going to be days on end of flooding rainfall? No, but maybe a little bit more than you would see on a typical dry February day. So checking out our future cast here, this is our American model showcasing what we could see in terms of the middle level flow in the atmosphere. That can show us if we're going to be seeing any troughs or ridges, which could support a certain weather pattern or not, and about any storm systems or rainmakers. So here we are next Friday, February 10th, showing the potential for some rain. Wes was showing during that Super 7-day, we have the possibility of some active weather Tuesday through now Friday of next week. So another wet pattern. This isn't saying that necessarily each day is going to be a deluge with rain all day long, but showcasing that, yeah, this wet pattern could maybe stick around through the end of next week. So here we are Friday night, still showing some rain, maybe some showers early next Saturday. That's on the 11th, and this is Super Bowl weekend. But it does look like as we get into Super Bowl Sunday, drying out. So if you have any Super Bowl watch party plans, I think you should be good. Notice though, it does look cool. Temperatures likely only in the 40s. And then as we head into Valentine's Day week, that Monday, the 13th, looking dry and seasonable with temperatures in the 50s, maybe getting a touch warmer on Valentine's Day. Seeing some hints of a little bit of a warm up in the forecast. And then on the 15th of February, the following Wednesday, another potential rainmaker coming in. I will say at this time, we're not seeing anything that's standing out in terms of severe weather threats. Of course, that's something we're always going to keep an eye on. But right now, it just looks like a rainy pattern could be possible beyond the 7-day. And then 6 to 10 days from now, what about the temperature outlook? Well, as we've been seeing into next week with the possibility of 60s above average temperatures, at least for the eastern half of the U.S. And yes, that does include Alabama. So could we see 70s? Well, well, not out of the question. Right now, we're just going with 60s in the forecast, but I wouldn't be surprised. Here we are by the middle of next week. Could see that 70-degree mark hit across some areas in central Alabama before we see that cool down for the latter half of Super Bowl weekend, and then turning more seasonable by Valentine's Day. Maybe another warm up in the forecast for that second full week of February. As far as more freezing temperatures, we do have that first alert for freezing air settling back in as we get into your Saturday morning within the 7-day forecast. But looking beyond the 7-day, it does look like maybe Super Bowl weekend going into Valentine's Day, the possibility of some freezing mornings. So I know we got that in the forecast, but hey, we are seeing some hints of spring. So maybe Punxsutawney and Sam, maybe if we can find that nice middle ground there, that's where we're going to be beyond the 7-day. In the meantime, we'll take a final look at that 7-day forecast, and meteorologist shows us what to expect at the bus stop for a chilly Friday morning. We'll be right back.
Every storm has a story, where it came from, where it's going, and the lives impacted in between. Where our story begins is with your first alert, warning you well ahead of time so the chapter in between isn't filled with surprises. The largest team on your side, dedicated to telling the story that starts and ends with you. This is why we First Alert.
First alert, we are tracking
In times like this,
we now have a tornado warning that's active.
having a way to see and hear what's happening on your phone,
The most intense part of this storm right now is tracking towards Shelby County.
that means everything.
Okay, you need to get in your safe place now. Stay there. We will let you know when this warning expires. Stay with us.
Download the First Alert Weather app today. Stay alert. Stay with the First Alert Weather Team. Mornings, they're yours. Where you start fresh, get your body moving, and tackle a new day. Our mornings are for you. Janice, Mike, Mickey, and Toy, starting early and staying with you all morning long. With more voices speaking to you where you are, and getting to the point with more First Alert weather and traffic from the source you trust. Always on your side. This is Good Day, Alabama.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Lenahan. I know today has honestly been a little crummy, so you may be wondering, or the kids are wondering, can I just stay home from school tomorrow? I don't want to do this again on Friday. So we bring in now meteorologist Tania Michelle to give us a look at that bus stop forecast. Tania, is there any, if you could scoot to the right, please, is there any improvements in the bus stop forecast? Because I'm telling you, today was kind of trash.
Lauren, listen, honestly, the only improvement is that tomorrow's going to be drier. So that is some good news to hold on to, but we're going to start pretty chilly. I mean, look at this at 7 a.m. as you were headed out to the bus stop, whether you're getting ready to go to the bus stop, definitely plan to wear some layers, and you're going to want the jacket, maybe even cover your head if you're going to be outside waiting at the bus stop. If your parents don't have you sit in the car, I know when I was a kid, we used to sit in the car and my parents used to crank up the heat until the bus would roll up. But if you don't have that luxury, well, definitely bundle up, okay? Because we're going to see temps in the morning close to freezing, if not there, especially for places north and west. We're talking Marion County, Winston County, over towards Lamar County, where it's a little cooler up northwest central Alabama. But for Jefferson County, here's your look. 7 a.m. we'll start with temps in the low 30s. Then as we progress to your lunchtime hour, slightly warmer, but really not much, only in the low 40s. And then we'll see daytime highs tomorrow getting close to 50. Some places will only see temperatures for a daytime high on their Friday in the upper 40s. But that's your Friday forecast and your bus stop forecast. We'll send it back to Lauren for that last look at your 7-day forecast.
So y'all know the drill, kids. Make sure you have the gloves, the hat, the scarf, the warm winter jacket, looking like those kids in the Christmas Story when you walk out the door tomorrow. Now, for tomorrow, of course, it's going to be cold when you start. And like Tania said, we're likely not even going to get out of the 40s. But it's Saturday morning when we have a first alert for everyone seeing freezing temperatures. We're talking widespread in the 20s, so make those cold weather preps. Cover up your plants if you still have any outside for the winter. Make sure you bring your pets in and that they are warm and toasty. And you too have on those fuzzy socks that you got for Christmas. But hey, best part about the weekend, and really tomorrow, is that sunshine back. Just a few passing clouds on Saturday and Sunday. And then look what happens on Sunday. Okay, ain't mad at it. 60s back in the forecast, and then really seeing a warm up next week. As I mentioned earlier, it's not out of the question. Some spots could hit 70 degrees. Yeah, we have some rain chances, but we'll deal with that once we get past the nice weekend. In the meantime, check in tonight on First at 9 with Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt for an update on that chilly forecast. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Join us back here tomorrow night and have a safe and happy Thursday evening.